What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. And today we're talking about the Scream TV series. So when I decided to cover the Scream franchise this month, I knew there was a pretty big gap in my knowledge, which was MTV's Scream. Yes, the Scream TV series. This series premiered back in 2015 and came back for a second season in 2016. I recognize that a lot of you probably haven't seen this as much as, of course, you've seen the rest of the franchise, so I will try to keep this as a spoiler-free review. The first thing you might notice about this series is that there's a new mask. And when I first saw this, my initial reaction was, why? Ugh, it sucks! And I even read that Wes Craven wasn't too happy about the mask switch, and I get it. But after watching a few episodes, I was like, oh, okay, they had to change the mask. The plot of this series is so far removed from the rest of the franchise from Woodsboro. It takes place in a totally new town, Lakewood. Honestly, that's something I think you should know going in. Sure, it's about a bunch of teenagers with a killer on the loose, but the mask in this series has a full backstory that would have never matched the original Scream mask. Like I said, the series takes place in Lakewood and follows our protagonist, Emma Duval, which is such a an old Hollywood name. I kind of love it. Anyways, it's about her and her friends that are being stalked by a masked serial killer. It's also somehow linked to a tragic event that happened in the town 20 years earlier. The series has more of a Pretty Little Liars vibe, but with a lower budget. I don't know if that's rude, it probably is, but it's one of those shows where anyone could be the killer and anyone could be the next victim. I'll go ahead and say that the first episode actually got me pretty excited. So we have Bella Thorne, and she of course plays the sort of Drew Barrymore. She's sort of more famous and she's gonna die in the first episode, spoiler, but we all sort of knew. So first of all, the sequence is pretty good, and second of all, they actually had some gore, and I was like, oh, okay, MTV, that's what we're doing here. There is gonna be some good gore in this show, and so that got me excited. Okay, now I'm not gonna lie to you, the writing and the acting are not superb. They're okay. It's a teen TV drama. It's on that level, you know what I mean? I feel a little nervous to talk about the characters individually because now I've seen 2 seasons, so many people have died. I feel like I'm going to give something away, so I'm just going to focus in on Emma, who is our protagonist of the series, our final girl, our City Prescott. So in season 1, Emma was sort of a disappointment for me. She's very pretty and soft and just sort of bland, just very vanilla. She obviously is the victim a lot in this series, and I really wanted her to fight back with a lot more ferociousness in her that she just didn't seem to have. But that changes a bit in season 2. I feel like they definitely wrote more strength into her character. She brought more as an actress. She sort of finds her powers to be able to stand up to the world, the killer, and deal with all the trauma she had to deal with in season 1. Now, overall, season 1, I had a pretty good time watching it. I wasn't addicted. It was sort of that thing where I would turn it on, and then I would sort of be like, blah, 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 Twitter, blah, 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 Facebook. And I was like, huh, whoa. But every now and then I started to get captivated, and I was like, oh, okay, alright. I mean, personally, I do love teen dramas. I love, Vampire Diaries, Pretty Little Liars, all that stuff was, good for me. And this just sort of felt like a slightly worse version. See, I'm sounding rude again. But blah, blah, blah. I kept watching for you guys, and I got to season 2. So season 2 honestly was a lot better. They sort of upped their gore game. They named every single episode after a different horror movie, which was cool, and they brought some fun references to other horror movies besides Scream, and overall it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. I thought all the actors were much more grounded in their characters. I thought the writing overall was a little bit better. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Brooke. I really like this character. She's sort of oh, whatever, I don't care about anything, cool girl. In season 1, and she's sort of sort of a bore, but then she gets ferocious and finds her strength. I always love these kind of characters. She also ends up being the one that loses the most loved ones, and sort of ends up being the most alone. And sort of through that, she found this power, and she ends up being really, really badass in season 2. So basically season 2 is just blah blah, there's a new killer, woohoo, let's do this shebang again. And then surprise, after they ended season 2, they actually did a Halloween special a couple months later, and that ended up being one of my favorite things of the whole series. I guess it was I'm trying to think if it's a longer episode than normal. I think it was. Basically everyone that's still alive at this point in the series goes to this murder house, and it's pretty cool. It's more like a movie. It feels more like a Scream movie. Even Emma Duval in this feels more like the Sidney Prescott final girl. It's very spooky and a little more traditional slasher than the rest of the series had been, and overall the kills were way gorier and cooler, and I was like, whoa, can they show this on TV? But apparently you can show basically anything on TV now, so I don't know. Alright, now let's get to some ratings. So for the scare, I'm giving it a 2. It's not really that scary. Like, there is, I mean, it's definitely like horror. There's definitely horror aspects in it. There's definitely thriller aspects in it. But the suspense is not built in a way that really keeps you on the edge of your seat. I would say it's definitely less scary than the movies. The gore, honestly, I'm giving the gore a 3 because there are some really good kills in here. I'm going to talk about them in the spoiler section, but there's some kills that I was like, whoa, this is creative, this is cool, this is like way more than I thought they would give for TV. The cheese is sort of hard. I'm just giving it a 3 because the writing at some points is really bad. The acting in season 1 is like pretty rough, but it doesn't like mean to be cheesy. I mean, sometimes they do mean to be cheesy actually, because there are some lines in there that sort of reference, you know, the Scream movies. Like one time someone's like, oh, just go call my van line, and this guy's like, what is it, 1996? And I was like, oh my god. But it's okay. So for my overall, I'm gonna give it a 3. Like I said, I love teen dramas, I love Riverdale, I love all that, I love it all. But this one just felt like the characters and the writing were just not developed for far enough that like I really cared about them. Overall, I like this series a lot more than I thought I would. Once I accepted this is like an MTV made thing, I was like, okay, like, yeah, it's gonna be sort of dumb and sort of badly acted, but like, it's still gonna be fun, and a lot of the kills are gonna be fun, and the like, who did it? Is it my friend? Is it my boyfriend? Like, all that stuff. It was a good time to watch. And like I said, I think the Halloween special was probably my favorite part. I think it would be hard to watch that without already knowing like the characters and everything probably, but that was definitely like the yay of the series for me. Now, let's answer this question. Does it deserve a 3rd season? So this has been set for a 3rd season. It's going to be a totally new cast. I'm assuming a new plot too, but I'm not super sure. Like, I don't know if they're changing the town or anything like that. It's rumored to be coming out in either 2019 or 2020. I do think it's kind of crazy that the last season came out in 2016 and we're still like being like, okay, it's still going to come. And I guess the question I'm asking myself here is, does this show deserve a season 3? And I'm like, okay, I think the reason they're coming back with season 3 is because horror in TV right now is getting very, very trendy. There's a lot of horror TV shows in the works or already coming out now. I swear it's like every single day on some blog, someone's like, oh, we're turning Lost Boys into a series. Oh, we're turning Resident Evil into a series. Like all this stuff, which personally, like, I'm super cool with. Like, I love it. Like, throw that money at the horror. I love that so much. And for Scream, what's hard is that they really set up another season to come pretty hardcore. Like, they really set it up. They were like, oh, another season's on its way. But now that I'm like, they're totally changing the cast and everything, it feels like what they set up at the end of season 2 isn't gonna work. So I'm not convinced this show deserves a 3rd season. I think it was fine, but I'm not. I would rather MTV make something new. Like Teen Wolf, I didn't watch all Teen Wolf, but I watched some of it and I did enjoy it. But I'm like, yeah, like, create a new story, create something new like Teen Wolf was, and throw your money at that. Like, I think MTV has the potential to make some more fun horror related stuff that's really like, you know, teenage and like young and silly and funny and dumb and all that. Like, I'm into it, but I'm not sure they need to keep going with Scream, but we'll see. When season 3 comes out, I'll definitely start checking out the first couple episodes and see how it goes, and I'll let you guys know too. Okay, now we're just gonna do a couple of spoilers. First, I'll give you my season 1 favorite kill, which was definitely Emma's ex-boyfriend getting sawed in half. Sawed in half. It was crazy. And the blood is just like shooting all over her, and of course she's wearing like a white shirt, so it's just like blood everywhere. It was kind of amazing imagery. I loved it. Okay, now for season 2, this isn't really a kill, it's more of a reveal of a kill, but they have Brooke standing in the auditorium on the stage, and we get this nice big Carrie moment where this like banner comes down from the ceiling and her dead boyfriend just like falls in front of her and covers her in blood. It's so brutal. It is an amazing shot. I was like, yeah, girl, yes. And then the Halloween episode, honestly, I thought all the kills were pretty good. They, instead of the like normal knife or whatever other weapons they used in the series, they had these like, you know, hedge scissors. What are those called? Hedge shears? Hedge. It's what you use to cut your hedges. Someone's probably screaming it at me at home from their couch. What is it? Shears? Wait. Well, I guess we'll never know. I'll put a picture of them. And they also have the killer in this one wearing like this, you know, bag on his head, and he looks very much like, you know, early on Friday the 13th Jason, which is funny. But anyways, I've gotten really rambly in this one. Sorry about it. My name's Felicia. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the Scream TV series, I would love to know below. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I definitely enjoyed watching it. I'm just not convinced they deserve a season 3. Alright, y'all, and that's it for me. I will see you in my next video. Have a nice Scream. Bye.